soft piano begins. The camera pans across a peaceful sunrise at an airport runway. Cut to a young black teen, 14-year-old Elijah Bryant, sitting quietly by a terminal window, headphones on, reading a worn leather book titled Legacy of Flight. Studio microphone narrator, gentle, serious tone. He was calm. Polite. Invisible to most. Just a boy reading in first class. But within minutes, his presence would trigger a storm, and a slap heard around the world. Sudden cut to a dramatic moment. A white flight attendant, her hand raised, the sharp sound of a slap echoing. Passengers gasp. Elijah's head jerks to the side. Silence. The engines hum. The plane halts. Studio microphone narrator, build suspense. She thought he didn't belong. Thought she could discipline him in front of dozens. She had no idea who he was, or what would happen next. Quick flashes, shocked passengers. A captain's grim face. The jet bridge reconnects. Uniformed officials board the plane. The flight freezes on the tarmac. Studio microphone narrator, this isn't just a story about a slap. It's about power, prejudice, and a legacy 35,000 feet above the clouds. Elijah Bryant stood quietly near gate 47A. The sun filtered through the towering glass walls, warming the blue carpet beneath his sneakers. He clutched a small backpack, weathered but neat, and a boarding pass with two powerful words printed in bold, first class. The 14-year-old was dressed in a navy blazer and white shirt. Pressed, tailored, clean. His curls were short, his posture upright. He wasn't flashy. Just focused. Next to him, a handful of older businessmen glanced at him, brows raising. A couple exchanged silent looks. A few muttered under their breath, one even chuckling. Kids these days, first class. But Elijah said nothing. He just looked out the window at the rising sun and the massive Boeing 777 pulling into view. Scene 2, boarding begins. Passengers in first class, you may board now. Elijah approached the gate. The attendant scanned his ticket, barely looking at him. Her eyes widened slightly, but she forced a smile. Enjoy your flight, she said, not meaning it. He stepped into the jet bridge. The air inside the plane was cold, clinical, and quiet. In seat 1A, Elijah took his place. A black boy in a premium cabin. Alone. He pulled out his book, Legacy of Flight, and started reading, unaware that the eyes of a certain flight attendant were burning into him. Scene 3, enter Ms. Karen Whitmore. Karen Whitmore had worked for the airline for 19 years. Blonde, 47, stern, and exacting. She prided herself on order, tradition, and yes, making judgments. As she entered the first-class cabin and saw Elijah, she froze. Karen, to herself, that can't be right. He's in the wrong seat, she approached. Karen, forced smile, hi there, sweetheart. Are you lost? This is first class. Elijah looked up, confused. Elijah, yes, ma'am. This is my seat. Karen, voice tightens, are you flying alone? Do your parents know you're here? Elijah, yes, ma'am. I've flown before. This is my seat. Karen, sharper now, let me see your boarding pass. Elijah calmly handed it over. She inspected it like it was forged. Karen, huh? She handed it back, eyes narrowed. Scene 4, the microaggressions begin over the next 10 minutes. Karen checked Elijah's seat 3 times. Adjusted the armrest. Moved his bag overhead without asking. Asked if he snuck in here again. Even asked if he had stolen someone else's pass. Passenger 2B, white woman, whispers, is she harassing him? Passenger 1C, older man, businessman, let the boy sit. He's not bothering anyone. Karen tightened her jaw. She hated being questioned. Elijah stayed quiet. His book open, his face composed. But his fingers trembled ever so slightly. Scene 5, the spark. Just as the boarding finished and doors were about to close, Karen returned one more time. This time visibly irritated. Karen, I've told you already. You can't have your bag on the floor, even in first class. You're not special. She reached for his small leather bag again, yanking it harder than needed. The strap caught on Elijah's wrist. He flinched. Elijah, please be careful with that. That's my father's. Karen, watch your tone. And then, it happened. In front of half the cabin, with passengers still settling, Karen slapped Elijah. Not hard enough to knock him out of the seat, but hard enough to echo. Slap. Scene 6, silence on the tarmac. Gasps filled the cabin. Passenger 2B, did she just? Passenger 1C, what the hell is wrong with you? Flight attendant 2, Karen. Elijah touched his cheek but didn't cry. Didn't shout. He looked disappointed. Elijah, quietly, you shouldn't have done that. And then, the cockpit door opened. Captain Rodriguez, a seasoned pilot, stepped out with a frown. Captain. What's going on here? Before Karen could explain, the intercom buzzed. A sharp voice came through, Flight 718, hold position. Jet bridge reconnecting. Security en route. The plane froze on the tarmac. Scene 7, the father's name. A murmur went through the plane. Karen's face paled. The captain turned to Elijah, suddenly respectful. Captain, young man. Are you Elijah Bryant? Elijah, yes, sir. The captain nodded slowly. His voice changed entirely. Captain, your father is. Elijah, quietly, Langston Bryant. The name hit like a shockwave. Langston Bryant. The man who built Bryant Aviation from the ground up. One of the richest black men in America. Philanthropist. Veteran pilot. And most importantly, owner of the airline. Karen staggered back, her mouth opening and closing, as if oxygen had suddenly disappeared from the cabin. Scene 8, security boards the plane. 2 airport security officers entered the aircraft. Behind them, a man in a custom-tailored suit, flanked by 2 assistants. Langston Bryant himself. He locked eyes with his son first. Then with Karen. Langston, calmly, did you lay hands on my son? Karen tried to speak. Langston, don't answer that. We have the footage. He turned to the captain. Langston, ground this flight. Remove her. And bring me the flight log. I'll handle this personally. Scene 9, passengers speak up one by one. First-class passengers began standing. Passenger 2B, I saw it. She slapped him. For no reason. Passenger 1C, that boy did nothing wrong. He was respectful the entire time. Flight attendant 2, she's been acting like that with him since boarding. Karen started shaking. Karen, I didn't know. I didn't know who he was. Langston turned. Langston, and if he weren't my son, would that make it okay? The aircraft, still tethered to the jet bridge, remained eerily still. Cabin lights glowed softly, but the usual buzz of pre-takeoff excitement had vanished. It had been 25 minutes since the slap. No drinks served. No announcements. Just quiet. Karen Whitmore sat stiffly in the front jump seat, pale and sweating. Her uniform, once crisp and proud, now looked like a costume of someone pretending to be in control. Langston Bryant stood at the front of the plane, a tall and commanding figure in a charcoal suit, his presence as calm as it was powerful. Langston, to the captain, call operations. Cancel this flight. Rebook every passenger on the next available aircraft. I'll cover the cost. Passengers murmured, not in protest, but in awe. A billionaire grounding an entire flight. For a boy. This wasn't ordinary. This wasn't expected. But Langston wasn't done. Langston, to the flight crew, bring me the cabin footage. And start a report. This incident will not be buried under paperwork. Scene 11. Elijah remained still. Elijah hadn't said much. He hadn't moved from his seat, not even to wipe the red mark on his cheek. Langston knelt down in front of him. Langston, you okay, son? Elijah, softly, yes, sir. I didn't say anything. I just sat here. Langston, you didn't have to say a word. The truth speaks loud enough. Elijah nodded slowly, eyes misty, not because of the slap, but because of the weight of being seen. Elijah, why did she hate me? She didn't even know me. Langston, sometimes, son, people don't hate you. They hate what you represent. And they'll do anything to remind you of the box they think you should fit in. He placed a strong hand on Elijah's shoulder. Langston, but we don't shrink. Ever. Scene 12. Karen tries to explain. Meanwhile, Karen was being questioned at the front of the plane by two airline representatives who had rushed in from the terminal. Karen, panicked, I didn't mean to hurt him. I just thought, I assumed, Rep 1. You assumed he didn't belong in first class. Karen, well, yes. Look, I've seen things. Kid sneaking in, Rep 2, so you hit him. Karen, defensive, he gave me attitude. Rep 1, multiple passengers say he was respectful the entire time. We have witness statements and footage. Karen buried her face in her hands. Karen, I didn't know he was Bryant's son, Langston, stepping in, and if he wasn't my son? Would the slap still be justified? Karen, whispers, no. Scene 13. Passengers speak out. Back in the terminal, passengers, now delayed by hours, began posting on social media. At Traveler, Tina just witnessed a flight attendant slap a young black teen in first class. She didn't know who he was. She does now. Hashtag Flight 718 Hashtag Justice on the tarmac. At Mark in the Skies, Langston Bryant just grounded his own airline jet because his son was slapped by a staff member. Dignity. Leadership. Respect. Hashtag legend. Within 30 minutes, hashtag Flight 718 began trending on Twitter and TikTok. A few even filmed snippets from the plane. Karen's outburst, Elijah's quiet response, Langston stepping aboard like a general entering a battlefield. The internet was eating it up. But for Langston, it wasn't about spectacle. It was about a teaching moment, for the world. Scene 14, the media storm. By that evening, the news was everywhere, black teen slapped in first class. Turns out to be billionaire's son. Langston Bryant grounds jet after son assaulted mid-flight, flight attendant on leave after striking teenager, airline issues public apology. Elijah's face was blurred in most media reports, but not in the hearts of millions who saw the viral clips. Public reaction was swift, and divided. Some praised Langston for protecting his son and holding the airline accountable. Others questioned, would this have gone viral if he weren't a billionaire's son? Langston heard it all. And he had a response brewing. Scene 15, the internal inquiry. The airline's ethics board convened an emergency hearing that night. Karen was suspended indefinitely. Flight crew were interviewed. Security footage confirmed Elijah's version of events. Langston didn't just want Karen fired. He wanted training, policy changes, and reform. He made a statement to the press the next morning. Langston Bryant, press conference, my son's experience isn't rare. It just got caught on camera. Millions of young black boys are treated as threats before they're even seen as children. That ends now, at least in my company. The crowd clapped. Cameras flashed. But Langston wasn't finished. Langston, we will launch a nationwide training initiative called Seat 1A. Every flight attendant, every gate agent, every captain, will learn what unconscious bias looks like and how to stop it before it humiliates someone like my son again. Scene 16. Elijah speaks. Days later, Elijah appeared in a pre-recorded video uploaded to the Airline's YouTube channel. Calm. Poised. Just like he had been on the plane. Elijah, I didn't ask to be treated special. I just asked to be treated fairly. Everyone deserves that. No matter what seat they're in. No matter what they look like. Millions viewed it within hours. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about punishment. It was about change. Scene 17. Karen's quiet apology. 2 weeks later, Karen mailed a handwritten letter to the Bryant home. To Elijah, I am so sorry. Not just for the slap, but for not seeing you. For making assumptions. For forgetting that every passenger is a person first. I've stepped down. I've started therapy. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope you find peace. Karen Whitmore. Asterisk. Elijah read it once and put it in a drawer. Elijah, to his dad, she still doesn't get it. It's not about who we are. It's about what people think we're not allowed to be. Langston nodded. Langston, then let's keep proving them wrong. 3 weeks after the incident, Langston Bryant's new initiative, Project Seat 1A, officially launched. More than a campaign, it was a movement. Slogan, every passenger deserves dignity. Every seat holds a story. It started small, in-flight training videos, internal workshops, pilot empathy exercises. But then, major airlines across the U.S. partnered in. Airports added Seat 1A booths for cultural awareness. School systems requested curriculum kits to teach about bias and respect in classrooms. And at the heart of it all, a 14-year-old boy who never raised his voice. Just his presence. Scene 19, Elijah finds his voice. Elijah had never liked public speaking. But something had changed. Not just in the world, in him. He began writing. First letters. Then speeches. Then, a TEDx youth talk in Atlanta titled, "What They Saw Wasn't Me, Elijah." From the stage, they didn't see a boy. They saw a threat in a seat they thought didn't belong to me. But belonging doesn't come from status. It comes from humanity. Every person carries a story, and every seat, even 1A, should carry respect. The crowd rose to its feet. Not in pity. In pride. Scene 20, Karen watches from afar. Thousands of miles away, Karen Whitmore watched Elijah's TEDx talk from her small condo in Colorado Springs. She was no longer a flight attendant. No uniform. No daily boarding passes. Just, reflection. Karen, to herself, he didn't even fight me back. And still, he changed the world. She turned off the video and opened her laptop. Typed slowly. Subject, request for dialogue, Karen Whitmore, to info@seat1a.org. Scene 21, the unexpected invitation. Weeks later, the Bryant team reviewed the email. Karen's message. If there's space for a former flight attendant with a past she regrets, I'd like to be of service. I want to be part of the change. Even if that means facing what I did, publicly. Langston read the email, silent. He showed it to Elijah. Langston, what do you think, son? Elijah stared at the screen for a long moment. Elijah, invite her. But not to speak. To listen. Scene 22, the first conference. Project Seat 1's first national conference took place in Washington, D.C. Hosted at the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum. It was an event unlike any other in aviation history. Elijah was introduced as the youth chair of the initiative. When he took the stage, people didn't see a boy anymore. They saw a leader. Elijah, on stage, bias doesn't always scream. Sometimes, it whispers. In who we ignore. In who we second guess. In who we fear, quietly. But today, we stop whispering. We start seeing. Tears flowed in the crowd. In the back, Karen sat quietly. No camera on her. No podium. Just listening, as instructed. Scene 23, private meeting, Elijah and Karen. After the event, Elijah met Karen in a small conference room. No cameras. No fanfare. She looked thinner. Humbled. Karen, you didn't have to invite me. Elijah, you didn't have to apologize. Silence. Karen, I didn't see you as a child. I saw you as something to control. That haunts me. Elijah, I know. She looked up, surprised. Elijah. But I don't need you to hurt forever. I just need you to help make sure no one else gets treated like that again. Karen broke down. Not in shame. In relief. Karen, then tell me how I can help. Scene 24, the ripple effect. Within months, Karen became a behind-the-scenes advisor to Project Seat 1 as Restorative Justice Branch. A new documentary, First Class, Second Looks, premiered on Netflix, featuring Elijah's story. Elijah testified before a bipartisan congressional committee on travel equity. Project Seat 1A launched in Canada, the UK, and South Africa. Langston stood by Elijah through every step, not as the towering billionaire CEO, but as a father watching his son bloom beyond pain. Langston, to media, I built an airline. But my son? He's building an airspace where every person matters. Scene 25. Full circle moment. One early morning, nearly a year after the incident, Elijah boarded another plane. Same airline. Same first-class seat, 1A. As he buckled his seatbelt, a young black gate agent walked up to him and quietly said, "Agent, because of you, I stayed in this job. Because of you, we're seen." Elijah smiled. That same quiet composure. The book in his hand now had a new title. Wings of Worth, by Elijah Bryant. He looked out the window as the plane took off. No slap. No whispers. Just clouds parting for a boy who changed the skies.